John always believed that age had given him a nose for hidden intentions. Experience and losses had sharpened his perception. Still, on that simple afternoon, one detail unsettled him: the smile that didn't match the eyes, and the phrase with a hidden sting. "Don't you trust me?" It sounded like a plea for affection, yet at the same time placed guilt squarely on his chest. He felt pressure to give in, as if asking questions were a sign of disrespect. He took a breath and said, "Trust is valuable to me, that's why I ask. That way, I understand better." The conversation continued, but the feeling lingered. Something there called for light, not blind faith. This channel is new. Please subscribe, leave a like, and help us keep creating content that inspires and strengthens your journey. That evening, John revisited memories where questions like that had paved the way for confusion. He noticed a pattern: when the response swaps facts for character judgment, there's control involved. Often, it comes wrapped in kindness. To protect his mind, he adopted a simple habit: before accepting promises, ask for clarity. No lectures. No arguments. Just clarity. The next day, the neighbor Greg showed up asking for a big favor. He wanted John to be a guarantor for a risk-free deal. When John asked for details, came the same phrase, with a practiced smile: "Don't you trust me?" Instead of giving in, John suggested, "Explain the plan, the deadlines, and who's responsible for what. Then I'll see how I can help." Greg dodged, painted a perfect picture, promised easy profits. John kept his compass pointed at the facts. For every vague answer, he asked one clear, direct question. The charm broke. The favor lost its shine. It was really an invitation to sign without reading. John ended it gracefully: "I like partnerships with the lights on." Months earlier, Donna, a fellow choir member, had gone through something similar. An acquaintance wanted to use her name as a quick reference. It seemed harmless. When she asked for details, she heard that same phrase. Donna replied, "Put it in writing, and I'll evaluate it." The acquaintance backed out the same day. It became a reminder for John: those who act with truth accept questions, those who fear questions turn doubt into offense. Over time, he prepared short responses for delicate moments. Let's take it step by step. What exactly do you need? What are the risks, and who takes responsibility? These phrases don't attack, they organize. And when the conversation gets organized, the mind can breathe. In the days that followed, the same person reappeared with affectionate talk. Spoke of trust as proof of love. John listened, but kept his footing firm. He set 3 simple conditions: transparency, defined responsibilities, and the possibility of review. The reaction said it all. The conversation that promised closeness turned into complaint. Irony surfaced, along with the question, why so much bureaucracy? John saw it clearly: when the request is legitimate, clarity brings people closer; when it's a trap, clarity causes discomfort. Instead of justifying himself, he repeated, "Trust grows with information." Mr. Harold, a veteran of the club, once told John about being offered a miraculous shortcut. He asked for numbers, deadlines, and names. The offer vanished. Harold summed it up, and John kept it like a talisman: whoever has a clear path shows you the map. On Sunday night, John wrote 3 lines in his notebook. 1. Questions ask for answers, not drama. 2. Guilt is a trick, counter it with facts. 3. Self-respect sustains the conversation. When he finished, he felt lighter. This care rekindled something precious: the ability to love the world without losing himself. His phone buzzed. "Can we talk tomorrow? Do you trust me?" John closed his eyes, smiled, and thought, tomorrow, yes, but with the lights on. Elizabeth was always remembered by John as a strong woman, the kind who faces life with calmness. Yet even the most attentive can be caught off guard. Her story began with a simple request for help from her nephew, a young man who spoke with conviction and used trust as a tool. He needed money to invest in a business that, he claimed, was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Elizabeth was suspicious, asked for details, and the reply came sharp, "Why would I lie?" That phrase echoed like an impenetrable shield. And it was right then that she decided to give in. She trusted the apparent logic, believed there was no reason to doubt, and signed the check. Months passed, and the promises began to unravel. The phone was no longer being answered, messages came back with evasions, and the feeling that something was wrong grew heavier with each passing day. When the truth finally surfaced, the scam was revealed, the business had never existed. The money was gone, and with it, a piece of Elizabeth's peace of mind. John, hearing her story, felt a lump in his throat. It wasn't just about the money, it was about the pain of being deceived by someone she cared for. Broken trust weighs more than material loss, and that detail stuck in his memory. How many times has a simple phrase, spoken with confidence, had the power to make us lower our guard and give more than we should? John began to reflect on how people use rhetoric to divert attention. Instead of answering clearly, the manipulator throws the question back, as if doubt were an unfair accusation. It's a psychological game. The one asking feels guilty, while the one who should be explaining plays the victim. He remembered Elizabeth saying, "I just wanted to help. I thought being suspicious would be cruel." Those words moved him, because at their core was a common mistake, confusing caution with harshness. One day, recalling the case, John wrote 3 sentences in his notebook that became personal rules. Honest people aren't afraid of questions. Those who avoid clarifying reveal more than they realize. And trust isn't asked for, it's proven. He kept those lines like an invisible shield. He knew that someday, life would place him in a similar situation. And what if the next person to say, "Why would I lie," were someone even closer, someone capable of shaking not just his mind, but his heart? John carried Elizabeth's memory as a warning. With every new encounter, every new proposal that came his way, he brought her lesson to the surface. Her pain couldn't be in vain. It had to be transformed into learning, so others could avoid similar stumbles. Elizabeth, though shaken, also changed. After months, she decided she'd never again give in to the pressure of guilt. She learned that asking questions doesn't weaken trust, in fact, it strengthens those who choose to live with truth. In John's mind, a certainty took shape. A friend's experience can be the beacon that keeps others from falling. And perhaps that was maturity's role, to turn pain into shared wisdom. That Sunday afternoon, John was surrounded by family when a familiar phrase suddenly came up, "Can you keep a secret?" The tone was light, almost playful, but the impact inside him was immediate. Behind the apparent intimacy, there was something that called for caution. Secrets, he thought, aren't always bonds of trust, often, they're chains that imprison. That question brought back the memory of his sister Caroline, who years earlier had been drawn into a similar situation. Caroline had been convinced by a friend to keep a harmless little secret. It seemed like a silly confidence, but soon became a heavy burden. Day after day, she carried the anguish of protecting information that wasn't hers, feeling complicit in something she'd never have chosen for herself. The trust she believed would strengthen their friendship instead turned into guilt. Only when the truth came out, amid tears and arguments, did Caroline realize, accepting a secret without knowing what it holds is like signing a blank contract. How many times is a secret just the key to manipulating silences that should never have existed? John looked at the face of the person asking for his trust in that moment and realized the situation was repeating itself. The request wasn't meant to protect him, it was meant to bind his loyalty before he even knew what he was getting into. He took a deep breath and replied firmly, yet calmly, "It depends on what it is. Tell me first, and then I'll decide if I should keep it." Those words broke the game. The request lost its power, because when manipulation is exposed to light, it loses its hold. That moment reignited in John the awareness that maturity isn't about silently accepting everything, but about clearly choosing what's worth keeping. Over the years, he learned that truly valuable secrets are the ones that honestly protect someone's heart, not the ones that force a person to carry burdens that aren't theirs. John closed his eyes for a moment and thought, growing older doesn't mean collecting secrets to bury inside your chest. It means learning to tell which truths deserve to be held close and which traps need to be refused. He lifted his head, looked into the eyes of the person asking for his silence, and calmly showed that his voice remained steady, ready to protect what truly mattered, his inner peace. That night, John believed he had already faced every test life could throw at him. He'd confronted phrases designed to plant guilt, witnessed scams disguised as affection, and turned down secrets that sounded like chains. But fate still had one final test in store. When someone close asked him, "Don't you remember?" he felt a different kind of chill. The phrase seemed innocent, but carried hidden poison. It was as if his own memory was being called into question. And for someone who's lived through decades of memories, tampering with memory is tampering with identity itself. For a moment, John wondered if he really had forgotten, but quickly recognized the trick. This was the most subtle form of manipulation, the infamous gaslighting. Instead of reacting with anxiety, he paused, took a breath, and calmly said, "If it's true, I'll remember it. If not, it's because it never happened." That simple, firm reply dismantled the attempt to confuse him. The person in front of him fell silent, unable to keep up the lie. How many times, when questioned about our own memory, do we give in to doubt and surrender our trust in ourselves? Days later, John received the biggest surprise of all. Elizabeth's nephew, the same one who had used the phrase, "Why would I lie?" to deceive and steal his aunt's trust, appeared at his door. Unlike before, he brought no miracle plans or empty promises. He brought only one request: forgiveness. The young man wept, saying the weight of his lies had destroyed his peace. John stayed silent for a few seconds, feeling his heart pound. Part of him wanted to shut the door and close the matter forever. But a wiser, more mature part understood that here was a chance for transformation. He reached out his hand, looked the nephew in the eyes, and said, "I forgive you. But know this, trust doesn't come back the same way. It has to be rebuilt with truth, and that depends entirely on you." The moment, unexpected even to John himself, didn't just close a chapter, it opened space for a new beginning. To forgive didn't mean forgetting the betrayal, but freeing himself from the weight of resentment. And what if life's greatest victory isn't avoiding every trap, but choosing how to respond when they finally appear? John realized that the true power of experience wasn't never being deceived, it was learning to recognize traps, protect his mind, and, when possible, use forgiveness as liberation. As he closed the door that night, he felt something different. It wasn't vulnerability, it was strength. He discovered that growing older isn't about losing control of life, but gaining the ability to decide which battles are worth fighting and which burdens aren't worth carrying. The final lesson became clear: love, wisdom, and a healthy mind walk together. And it's precisely that combination that gives an older person the power to live with dignity, peace, and a heart still capable of forgiving without losing itself. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone special and leave a like. This channel is new, so please subscribe and help us keep creating content that strengthens and inspires your life. And get ready, the next video might surprise you even more.